Bowled in! What a ripper!
Oh, what a
Out, inside edge, I think, and then destroys the stumps.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in to the Destroy the Stumps podcast today. We've got a gentleman called Durgesh, who is from Mumbai, the western state of India. So, city of India, but the state's Maharashtra. Popular city. A lot of famous cricketers play. They come from Mumbai, the likes of Sachin Tendulkar, Sunil Gavaskar. And Mumbai also has the best record in Ranji Trophy, one of the best domestic teams ever. Worldwide, one of the best records there. In state cricket, domestic cricket, all over the world, probably one of the best there. And Durgesh has a cricket page called Laws of Cricket. He loves looking into the history of cricket. There you go. He's got his merchandise as well. What a man. And so this guy, he just loves his cricket. As you can tell, he's got his merchandise. And if you want to check his Instagram page out, do check it out. It's a pretty popular Instagram page. Loves his cricket, like I've mentioned about 3 times now. But he likes looking into the history of the game and telling it in his own way. So do check out Laws of Cricket on Instagram. Durgesh, thank you very much for coming in today, mate.
Thank you, Neil, for hosting us today. And we are coming up with a good range of topics today, so it's going to be a very interesting discussion with you.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Durgesh, Durgesh, just with this, a lot of cricket coming on, there's plenty of things happening right now in the world of cricket. There's doubt about the future of ODI cricket, which is sad because so many memorable moments have come from ODI cricket, especially the ODI World Cup, and even like tri-series or special series involving different teams. A lot of teams that associate nations see it's important for them as well to grow and also maybe like increase the test playing nations. Ireland and Afghanistan are 2 examples there. They've had a lot of success in ODI cricket in recent times, and that's how they became a test playing nation. So, Durgesh, just with the future of ODI cricket, few players like Ravi Ashwin's voiced his concern about ODI cricket. Even a few other players, Usman Khawaja from Australia. What do you see with ODI cricket? What would have to change for ODI cricket to gain some popularity again? Because
let's talking about popularity. Let's come to the discussion of World Cup. If you look into the past, like 2011 World Cup was a huge success because it was in India. India is the largest market. We have over a billion cricket fans in this country. So that was ought to be a success. Like India winning this World Cup after 28 years. And then, 2015 World Cup, which was in Australia and New Zealand, that was also a huge success. But one has to agree that because of the Indian fraternity and the world cricket fans all across the globe, and mostly in Australia and New Zealand, because of those fans and because of the World Cup tag, it was successful. So 2011 was World Cup was successful because of the Indian fans. 2015 it was famous because of the Indian fans. But looking at the 2019 World Cup, where India's exit in the semi-final and the drama that happened in the final because of the Kumar and the Sena. But one has to agree that 2009 World Cup, the 50th World Cup, was also a huge success. So you cannot say that the popularity of ODI cricket has died. But along with that, one has to take into consideration that the workload management of the players that go through, like with the introduction of T20 cricket, when these legends when they're playing some good cricket in test matches and ODI cricket, T20 was just in its nappies in 2008 or 9, and even in 2009, Sachin Tendulkar had told us that 50 over cricket, the ODI cricket is dying, and one has to make it interesting by making a 25 over 2 innings game. But again, then after the introduction of T20 and then a lot of test matches being played, World Test Championship is being played, T20 World Cup is being played, merchandise cricket is being played, Big Bash League is there, Pakistan Super League is there, Bangladesh Cricket League is there, Indian Premier League is there. So looking at the workload management, one has to take into consideration the amount of pressure these players go through. They have to keep themselves fit for all the games. Being a senior player of a team, they are expected to play each and every game, each and every format they have to play. So, along with that, the COVID has pushed cricketers into solitude.
Mm.
The quarantine they have to go in, that becomes an hectic alone. So, ODI cricket is not dying, but then we'll have to make it more interesting because the kind of money that the T20 cricket gives to the players, the kind of popularity, the kind of advertisements and other perks being given in the Test matches and T20 cricket, one player is going away from ODI cricket. So it's not that the popularity is dying, but we have to make that interesting. That is the thing. In recently, you can see if in Ashwin has his own podcast. In the podcast, he is talking to Mike and Phil Tuckman. They agree to the same thing. Even Wasim Akram has commented over this future of the ODI cricket. As a commentator, he is bored giving a commentary. So yes, one will have to look into this picture also that it's not as popular as T20 cricket, but it's going to spectators are going away from test matches. Test matches have become more interesting these days because there's hardly a test match which becomes a draw. Initially in 70s and 80s, most of the test matches were being drawn by India and Pakistan. These days, the picture is completely different. Each and every test match gets over in 4 days, 3 days. In India, test match is expected to finish in 4 days. In Australia, it's expected to finish in 4 days. So yeah, the test matches are giving the results. It's on this format. It gives you a chance to display your skills, your temperament, your character, your resilience in the cricket that sports expect from a player. So Test cricket is a paramount format of the sport. T20 has given us the entertainment, the shortest format with you sixes and fours, and then quick entertainment, and the match gets over in like 3 or 4 hours, and then amount of money that the players are getting, but it's become more interesting. With the introduction of Indian Premier League and then other merchandise cricket, like the Caribbean Premier League is there, Wishback T20 League is there. So people are getting opportunities along with the huge chunk of money. They are, along with the huge chunk of money, but along with that, they are expected to keep up their fitness. But how does one keep up the fitness unless and until you are a Virat Kohli who's playing all three formats and is playing like unlikely
Or
very
Baba
well.
Azam. Yeah.
So yeah, Babar Azam is there, Mohammad Rizwan is there, Shaheen Afridi is there. We're looking at Indian Pakistan. In Sri Lanka, recently we are seeing that Dimit Karnat plays there. Angelo Matthews is at 40. He's playing a test format, but he's not playing the T20 form. So
Exactly. Yeah.
workload management is also a thing. This
Mm.
after all we have to understand that these people are humans. Like they
Yeah.
cannot they
True.
cannot just throw money at them and then expect them to perform in each and every game and play each and every format.
Oh, 100%.
So one has to give a chance to ODI cricket and make it interesting by making a two inning. That's what I suggest. 25 overs, 2 innings, and then some
Mm.
other introduction of the rules as well. Like change of the ball is there.
Oh, that's the one.
We
Yeah.
have yes, yes, and also I personally believe that T20 cricket is the sport of batsmen. I think very few bowlers are succeeded in T20 cricket. Any even the greatest bowler of the test format, Dale Steyn, was not spared in IPL.
Oh.
Even Mitchell Stark was not spared. So there has to be some rules for bowlers as well. They are sportsmen. They like to perform. They also want to keep their record good. So if you give the flat tracks and fish available for batting, where will these bowlers go? So change of the rules, change of a little bit of format in the ODI game can save ODI cricket. But when it comes to World Cup, I think it is quite famous. It is not that the popularity of ODI cricket is dying.
Yeah. Yeah, look, absolutely. That's some good points there. And you mentioned about 25 innings. I heard that before. I think they mentioned it before the last World Cup.
Tendulkar,
That
Tendulkar had mentioned it in 2009.
yeah, I remember Tendulkar mentioning it. Yeah, he's the one who mentioned that. Yeah, and that's a radical idea. Let's see. I reckon they've got to try. Let's see how that goes. But maybe a couple games somewhere in the world, maybe domestic games, see how that goes. But yeah, international, trying to implement it at the international level is going to be a different story. But I reckon yeah, maybe trial it first. Let's see how it goes. But But the one thing a lot of fans have mentioned, like you mentioned as well just now, maybe just using one ball instead of two balls. Because back in the day, I remember a lot of fans even mentioned online and ESPN Cricket Info, ICC cricket pages, all these cricket pages, even on YouTube as well, the cricket videos. They've mentioned all over social media that just having one ball per innings. The reverse swing factor's gone out of the game, especially in the subcontinent pitches where like the likes of Wasim Akram, Wakar Yunus, even I think one of the Indian guys is pretty good at reverse swing. I don't remember his name. Also, Brett Lee for Australia in ODIs, he used the reverse swing, the old ball to good effect. That's the one, the white. I like the probably having one white ball per innings. That because the reverse swing, like it just it just makes it tougher for the batsman. I mean, like the two balls per innings, especially if it's a flat track, it's going to make it easy for batsmen to like just go
Exactly,
off it.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't mind the high scoring game, but you do want a bit of a contest between bat and ball. Good example, New Zealand England World Cup final. I mean, that game will be talked about forever. Even the India New Zealand semi final was a good contest between bat and ball. Although it was the 2 days, there was the alternate day that they used, but it was a good contest between bat and ball. And even some of the group games in the last World Cup, there was one between Sri Lanka and England. Sri Lanka won that game. Malinga bowled superbly, but the contest between bat and balls important. I reckon like using one ball would definitely be a start. Probably getting some interest back into ODI. Maybe like yeah, and also the fixtures as well. I'm not too pleased with the. I don't think the players have also voiced their concern about the future tours program for the next couple of years. It's a lot of cricket, especially T20 cricket, and yeah, you're right. Like, how are they gonna like get some time out? And they want to spend some time with their family as well. They have personal lives as well, and the risk of injury increases as well with just keep play if you keep playing like
Also, the
it's
bubble structure they have introduced in the it's a quarantine period. You have to
and
stay
that
in
as
some
well.
bubble, yeah, yeah, for some time, for 7 or 8 days. You have to stay in bubble, out of your family. No one is there. No one is to speak. You have to stay all of your own. So that takes a toll of your mental health because people are so used to talk to people and they want people around themselves. They want to talk to someone else, even though there's social media, but you want someone with you to talk, right? So that takes a toll of your mental health as well. So many people have complained about the bubble structure, but one has to take a solution on this.
100%, 100%. Look, I hope ODI because I mean, like, it sounds like we're just being nostalgic, but ODI cricket's very important, especially for the associate nations. Like, let's say now Ireland and Afghanistan are like test playing nations, but teams that want to have a test ranking, test match status in the future, like I'd see Nepal cricket's popular over there. If they want to
Oman is
become
there.
Oman's there in the Middle
Oman is
East,
there.
and there's another country as well. Even countries like the Netherlands and Scotland,
Malaysia is there. Netherlands
Malaysia.
is there.
There's all these countries that love their cricket that have yeah like they use ODI cricket so important for them. The island coach, I think one of the island cricketers, I think it was William Porterfield, their former captain, who just retired recently. He mentioned the importance of ODI cricket for Ireland for the Irish cricket team in helping them get Test match status as well, and also competing against the bigger Test playing nations and them becoming better as a team. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's a bit of a challenge at the moment with ODI cricket, but and also players committing to all three formats. It's going to be hard, but let's see what happens in the future. And also, just moving on to the World Test Championship as well. So it's interesting. I mean, Australia and South Africa on top at the moment. Still a few Test series to play for a lot of teams. India's still in contention. It would have helped them if they won that final test against England. Also, they would have won their first series in England after since 2007 when Rahul Dravid was captain.
Yes,
That would have
yes,
been
yes, yes.
huge, and like it would have been huge for them. But if they got that win in that final test, that would have been huge for them. The percentage would have gone up. But now they have future fixtures against Australia next year in India. That's going to be a good series. Sri Lanka in third place, surprisingly. No one expected them to be in third place in the Test Championship.
Yeah,
Pakistan are
absolutely.
there and abouts as well. So and then Australia and South Africa, like I mentioned, were on top. Um, New Zealand's out of it. They've been pretty disappointing. There's a, a I just don't know what's going on with them. They've been pretty disappointing this year. England are out of it already because they've lost to Australia. They lost two matches last year to India, and they lost a
Right.
series to West Indies as well. West Indies aren't in it. Bangladesh aren't in it as well. So it's just really those five, maybe five nations that are in contention for the final next year. Who would you see? So over the next couple of Test series, who would you see as who would you think? Sorry, I've just got to phrase it properly. So who would you think? Um,
Uh,
yeah, in the
yeah,
final,
it's
who would you
okay.
see?
I personally feel that there are a lot of chances that we might see South Africa and Australia in the final, or there are fair chances that there might be Australia Pakistan contest as well. But let's take a scenario. I'll put it in a small summary. What exactly happened in this World Test Championship from 2001 to 2023? Like Sri Lanka, after drawing the second Test series in the row, has made the Test Championship very much interesting. Right? For 1-1 draw against Australia, and then 1-1 draw against Pakistan. And Pakistan have already selected to fifth position, and India is at fourth position. Sri Lanka is at third position. First is South Africa, and second is Australia, I suppose. Right. Now let's let's see that Sri Lanka's percentage point is 53.33. I've just written it and just reading it for you. And South Africa is of 71.43. Australia is at 70. The
Mm,
percentage points. Now Sri Lanka has already played 9 out of 10 10 test series in this cycle.
mm,
Okay. Now the last series is against New Zealand, which comprises only 2 games. If Sri Lanka wins by 2-0 margin, they will be finishing on 61.1 percentage points. If the series ends 1-1 draw, then the percentage point will drop to 52.78. That means Sri Lanka is almost out of the race from making it to the finals. Now, let's take a scenario for Pakistan as well. Okay, Pakistan is at fifth position with 51.85 percentage points. And they are very much contest with India. India is also at 51.85. West Indies is at 50. Sri Lanka is at 53.33. Now Pakistan have their chances alive. They have to outlast England and New Zealand in the upcoming series, and both the series are at home.
yeah,
Total number of tests that are to be played with, like three with England, two with New Zealand. If Pakistan win all five, their percentage points will go up to 69.05.
mm,
And Proteas, like South Africa, is sitting at the top with 71.50 percentage as of now. As of now, three tests against England and Australia, followed by two home tests against West Indies. So they have a very big hurdle. Very big hurdle.
yeah, true.
South Yes, yes. South Africa need to keep their tally around 66% to get into the finals. If both the overseas series, that is Australia and England, they lose by 1-2, they will come to 60% percentage points. And if they won the one overseas series by 2-1 and one they lose by 1-2, their percentage points will go to 66.67, which also means that they're into the finals already. But in both scenarios, they will need to beat West Indies 2-0. This is the scene.
Mm.
Fourth place, India have no other option. They have 6 test matches to play, four against Australia at home, two
They got to
against
win all of
Bangladesh
them.
away. They have to win all the six, which will take them to 68.06.
Yeah,
That will also mean that they have very tough competition with Australia.
yeah,
So to make it easier to understand, we'll see that if we want to see India Pakistan in the final, they'll have to win all the remaining test series, and only then the South Africa will slip. So it's going to be a very furious and very interesting contest ahead.
true.
Very interesting contest
Mm,
because Aussies are left with only 9 games, like four against India, two against West Indies, and three against South Africa. So if they lose to 0-4 to India and win the rest five at home, their percentage points will drop to 63.16.
true.
That means India have to win 6 out of 6 if they have to go and surpass Australia. So it's
Yeah.
going to be very interesting contest ahead. Very
Yeah,
interesting contest.
so many mathematics involved, man, percentages and all that. Like it's man, going back
It
to high school, aren't we?
I had done some study and homework on the World Test Championship. I
Yeah.
wanted to figure it out. What if we want to see Indian Pakistan in the final? What are the scenarios? So
Oh,
it's
that'd be
going to
good.
be very tough. It's either going to be South Africa versus Australia, or it's going to be Australia versus Pakistan for sure. Because Pakistan is playing all the series at home,
That's true.
and South Africa is playing two series overseas in Australia and England, and both are tough.
Yeah. England. If it was England from last year that South Africa were playing, I would back South Africa to like whitewash them. But England, that first Test series under Brendan McCullum as the coach, and now Ben Stokes as the captain, new leadership, new vision. They look like a different team, especially at home. And that Test match against India as well. Even though India were dominating most of the game, it was just that fourth day where it all changed. Johnny Bairstow was excellent throughout the game, and then even Joe Root just in that fourth innings. I mean, this England team look a bit different now compared to last year when you guys played them last year. Last year they were an absolute mess. Even at the end of the Ashes earlier this year, they were an absolute mess. They've made some changes. So far it's looking good, but I don't think it'll be like kind of like you mentioned. I don't think this series for South Africa against England in England will be that straightforward for them. So they've got two big hurdles there. But the thing with them touring Australia, it's a bit of a surprising record for when I do bring it up to people. South Africa haven't lost a series to Australia home and away since 2014. They lost a series at home against the Aussies 2-1, but they haven't. But South Africa have not lost a Test series against Australia in Australia since 2006. They've won their last three Test series against Australia in Australia. So they have some good. They have a good record in Australia, but it is going to be a hurdle with this Australian team. Australia's been in a good run this Test Championship cycle. They've only lost the one game that was against Sri Lanka. Pat Cummins has been impressive. The spinners look better as well, and the batting looks better. Usman Khawaja's in good form. Didn't have a great his best series against Sri Lanka, but he was excellent against Pakistan, and I think they're finding some good players. Cameron Green's very impressive as well. But yeah, there's a lot of calculations there, but I do see Australia qualifying for the World Test Championship final next year. Lords will be the venue for that final, and it'll probably be between South Africa and Pakistan for me as well. But you never know with India, and maybe you never know with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka definitely they've surprised everyone, but it's going to be tough for them. Just like you mentioned, just only a couple of matches they have to win, and then rely on the other results. So yeah, that's it's been an interesting Test Championship cycle. This one, definitely the percentages and all that, plenty of mathematics involved. But yeah, also now moving on to the T20 World Cup this year. It's only a couple of weeks away. Somebody told me I talked to Mervin from CricWiz yesterday. He said it's in October. I'm like, bro, time flies so quickly. It'll be just a couple of weeks, and before you know it, the World Cup started. So the qualifiers start on the 16th, I think middle of October. They have two groups of qualifiers, and then they have the two Super 12. They have the Super 12 with two groups of six teams. So we know who's qualified for the qualifiers, who are going to play in the qualifiers, and then whoever qualifies from the qualifiers, they will be in the two groups. What are you looking forward to in this T20 World Cup, and also who would you see qualifying for the semis, and then who would you see as finalists for this T20 World Cup?
It's too early to conclude who's going to be. Even if I have to guess, it's very difficult at this moment to guess that who is going to be in the qualifiers. But let's talk about the previous T20 World Cup where India was defeated by Pakistan after so many years in the ICC World Cup tournament in 2019, and also in this last T20 World Cup. So let's take a scenario like India had played a lot of cricket in their summers. They played IPL, and then they played the Test Championship, and then they had to play Pakistan in their very first match. So this is more of a psychological pressure than the actual pressure. Where where you play a lot of cricket, you need rest, but you don't get any rest, and then you have to play your first match against Pakistan. That is okay. But then again, the home pressure is there. A lot of memes are being created. A lot of
Oh
social media
yeah.
pressure is there. A lot of news and media pressure is also there. So that mounts up very seriously, and that's what happened in the last match where Pakistan defeated India. It was
Oh
a
yeah.
lot
I
of
remember.
pressure after a lot of cricket they played in the IPL, and then they had to play the first match against Pakistan, where some people were not in form. Rohit Sharma was not in form. Rishabh Pant gave away his wicket. Virat Kohli was not in form that much, and the pressure that they built it up, along with the expectations of the home crowd, that their first match is against Pakistan, it's a huge event, World Cup. That adds up to the another pressure. Hence was the pressure they lost, and then the next match when they played against a weakest team. Had India played their first match against the weakest team like Afghanistan or West Indies, and they had won, the kind of confidence that you get after playing your first match and winning it, that adds up to
True.
your confidence in the next match as well.
Hmm.
Next match as well. So playing your first match against Pakistan, you have to be prepared mentally, physically, technically, and everything. Everything. You have to stay away from the social media. You have to stay away from the negativities, and then you have to talk positive on the circle. Obviously, that things are being taken care of in the team as well. But then let's talk about the social media pressure and the people's expectations, the kind of hype that is being created in the media of India and Pakistan. That adds up to a lot of pressure on the team members. That was the reason I personally believe that India lost. India was not a weak team in the last World Cup. Even
Hmm.
Pakistan was a good team. Pakistan was also a good team. Mohammad Rizwan was in form. Shaheen Afridi is in form. Babar Azam was in form. So there Hassan Ali was in form. Even Shoaib Malik plays last World Cup. He was also in form. So Pakistan was also the weakest team. But then the pressure had to be on Pakistan team. It then again backfired after playing so much cricket in the summers. Same thing is going to happen in this. The only thing is that they have ample of time. The Indian team has ample of time to prepare themselves. IPL is already on. They have done a very good. They have played very good cricket in England. They have played very good cricket in Ireland. They are playing very good cricket in West Indies as well. So South
Oh,
Africa will
they've been
be
excellent.
coming to India. Yeah, they'll be preparing themselves very well. They are experimenting which player can fit into which role. So I think this first contest against Pakistan in this World Cup is going to be a very interesting contest. I am not going to comment that India is going to win or lose, but it's definitely for sure that it's not going to be one-sided. And as the game progresses, as the tournament goes on, I think I personally believe that India is a very strong T20 team. Even Pakistan is a very strong T20 team. I'll give two more teams more favor is South Africa and Australia this time. South Africa has built a team from scratch after the retirement of AB de Villiers. Quinton de Kock is also there this time. Faf du Plessis is not there. Their strike ballers are back. Rabada is there. Lungi Ngidi is there.
Hmm.
Andrenokia is there. So South Africa is going to be a very good team. Australia is also a very good team. So I personally feel that these four teams we can see in the finals. But let's put a asterisk mark with terms and conditions over there. Afghanistan can be a dark horse.
That's what I'm thinking.
Afghanistan
Yeah.
very good team in T20.
I mean, people are saying like India have the easier group, even though like the other two qualifiers, we're not sure who's going to qualify for the other for both groups. There's two spots left, but India like have Bangladesh, and Pakistan and South Africa in their group. I'd see them as favorites, but you never know with South Africa. Although they kind of underachieve in tournaments, I feel they do. Last World Cup, they were very unlucky. They just missed out on net run rate. Had the same points as Australia. They just missed out on net run rate because Australia had a better run rate. They beat South Africa one on one in that group game as well. And also the net South Africa didn't quite beat their opponents as well as Australia did. Australia hammered the West Indies and Bangladesh, and that helped their net run rates. But they were very unlucky not to qualify for the semis last World Cup. But yeah, so England even I think I reckon from Group A there's England, Afghanistan, Australia, and New Zealand. Like you mentioned, Afghanistan definitely I think they are the dark horse as well. People think Australia, England might or New Zealand might just make it one of those. It is a tougher group compared to India's group, but people think that Afghanistan won't. People kind of underestimating Afghanistan for me. Rashid Khan has plenty of experience in Australian conditions in the BBL. Mujib has experience. Muhammad Nabi has experience, and also also a few of their players, the spinners, have experience in Australian conditions as well, and they play T20 all over the world. A lot of their players, so they're definitely a competitive team in T20s. And T20s, one thing with T20, even though I'm not a huge fan of T20s compared to ODIs and tests, one thing with T20s, it's anyone's game. Just a couple of deliveries and the game just changes all of a sudden. It's short,
Absolutely.
and anything can happen. Anyone on a day, any team can beat any team. You've seen in the past in T20 World Cups, Netherlands have beaten England twice in the T20 World Cup. So there's a bit of trivia there for our viewers. But yeah, so you're definitely right about Afghanistan. I mean, Rashid Khan, especially in Australia, I reckon he'll be a threat in these conditions for sure. And the experience he has, and the likes of Muhammad Nabi as well. You're definitely right about Afghanistan being a dark horse. How do you see England? I mean, they've been a bit rusty since Owen Morgan's retired. Still early. They've still got a lot of depth in their batting, but how do you see England?
England has definitely got a very good depth in his batting lineup, but in T20 cricket, you have to be a balanced team. Even if you're 5 to 6 wickets away from Holland, your bowlers need to bat very good. Like that is the good thing in Afghanistan. Down the line order, when their top five batsmen are in the pavilion, they can also manage 60-70 orders with their tail. That is the reason I call Afghanistan a dark horse. In England, absolutely, they're very good batsmen. David Malan is there. David Malan, along with David Malan, Bairstow is there. Chris Woakes is there. Josh Butler is there. Josh Butler is in very fine form in the IPL, but he could not continue the form against India in the ODI series. But somewhere down the line, I don't feel that England is a very balanced team because Topley has been very good against India's series. But you never know in T20 cricket. By the time it reaches T20 cricket, by the time he plays more international cricket against the international players and a very good side like Australia, Pakistan, or let's say if they come to subcontinent and they play against Pakistan or Sri Lanka or India in India, I think the scenario might change. The balance that they have right now and this team might change. But in T20 World Cup, I personally don't think that England is a balanced team as of now. I don't know by the time World Cup comes, they might make a couple of changes here and there and they can be balanced. But ultimately, with the good guidance and the coach like Brent McCallum, they can also be a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And Durgesh, just before we do, we're going to wrap it up here very soon. Just your prediction for the final, even though you mentioned that it's still early days, so you're not too sure.
Hmm.
It's still early days. Who knows what's going to happen in the tournament when it starts? But just a prediction. Who would you see as finalist?
I personally believe that Australia is going to be in semi-finals, but I don't think they'll be reaching finals. But South Africa, we can see South Africa and India or South Africa versus Pakistan in finals.
Okay, fair enough.
I'll bet my chances on South Africa this time.
Yeah, I think maybe they might break it this time. The team definitely looks different now, and now they have Riley Rousseau, who's got a lot of experience all over the world in T20s. They look more balanced now compared to a couple of years ago. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. But anyways, thank you very much, Durgesh, for your time today. Thank you, everyone at home. Do check out Durgesh's Instagram page, Laws of Cricket. You want to read some stories about cricket. You want some history. He's always up for a chat about cricket. I mean, he's a massive fan. He's got his own merchandise. Come on, buy some merchandise. And also, stay tuned for the next episode as well. We'll be talking to Durgesh and a lot of cricket fans all over the world. Hopefully, get some Aussies as well. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for your time. Stay safe wherever you are. And until next time, it is bye for now.